Welcome to another book talk with Tracy. I'm sitting in my rather haphazard location at the moment where I've been doing most of my writing and things like that. Currently still just kind of in the midst of renovating and things. But I thought today would be a good day to talk a little bit more about Nanowrimo, National Novel Writing Month, and that whole process. And why, I guess, answer the question, would anyone want to try and write 50,000 words in 1 month? So for those who are new to that concept of Nanowrimo, it stands for National Novel Writing Month, as I said. And it is, I'm not even sure when it started, but I've been participating since 2010. And it's, you go to their website, nanowrimo.org, and you sign up or sign in, and you pledge to write 50,000 words during the month of November. 50,000 words is considered a short novel, so anything much less than that would probably fall more into the novella category. But a 50,000 word is a good, size novel. Most of my novels come in at a little more than that, like 80,000-ish, 90,000. It's a good read if you can sit down and read 50,000 words in a weekend or whatever. I'm not really sure what it is that is so inspiring about NaNoWriMo for me. I look forward to it every month, and I'm very excited to participate. It might seem like, why would anyone put themselves through that? But there's a certain adrenaline rush that comes perhaps with just the idea of a deadline, but also a goal and the fact that other people, hundreds of thousands of people around the world are participating as well. And I have tried other times of year to kind of mimic that and set, similar goals. And I am a fairly productive writer, but I don't know, there's just something about this particular thing that does really seem to spark me and inspire. So I am participating again this year. I wondered at first, why, because as you can see, I'm in the middle of renovating and other things that are keeping my life really busy. And I thought, how can I actually do that? I'm going to be away part of the month in November, and it just didn't seem very practical. And I actually didn't get off to a very good start the first few days. But when I did finally sit down a few days ago, I surprised myself with how much I wrote in a day. I wrote more than 10,000 words one day. I know. I was like, what? When I looked at the word count, I was astonished. So it just seems there's a certain adrenaline rush that seems to happen for me. And it's one of the reasons why I really enjoy it. I have actually also found that some of the books, the past projects I've done, have actually turned into more than just a fun activity. Several have morphed into actual books that have been published. Of course, they needed a lot of editing and more than 50,000 words, of course, and lots of proofreading and changing things and whatever. But the original stories did come from this month. So right now I am writing, my project is called Christmas with the Neighbors. And it's based on characters from my Neighbors series, Neighbors and Keeping Up with the Neighbors, both of which, by the way, did start as NaNoWrimo projects. So I'm using those characters, and I'm fleshing out some of the stories of people, especially people who maybe didn't have one of theirs was not one of the main stories from the other books, or in a couple of cases, some of the Malloy siblings from book 2 who maybe didn't quite, their love interests didn't exactly work out fully in the other books. So I'm just kind of rounding out some of those things. And so far it's going really well, and pretty sure I'll meet my goal by the end of the month. Sometimes I've been asked, how do you manage it? I don't someone said, "Oh, do you cook all month in October so that you don't have to cook?" Well, no. Like, I usually, when I participate in NaNoWriMo, I just make a goal to sit down and write for 1 hour a day. And inevitably, that turns into a lot more time. And, and I don't have a strict word count. I think you'd have to do something like 1,400, words per day for all 30 days to manage it. But I just sort of figure, well, if I can do 1 hour, like, that's doable. Somehow the rest is all going to work out, and it always does. As I already said, I actually didn't write too much the first few days, and then ended up writing 10,000 words in a day, one day. So somehow it all seems to work out in the wash. I don't try to edit too much, although I do. Like, if I notice right away when there's misspelling, it seems like I'm almost sort of dyslexic when I'm typing really quickly, and I, get letters mixed up and things. So I try to change that right away. But I don't spend a lot of time thinking or ruminating. I know that a lot of the scenes end up being a lot more telling rather than showing, which is one of those things you're supposed to show, not tell. But sometimes, it's easier just to tell what you want to say. Another thing I do, a little trick, is I'll put on the all caps lock if I just want to say, describe this more, or, tell about such and such as whatever. And so I'll put that in capitals so that when I go back, either the next day or later, if I choose to edit, then I'll know, oh, that's where I wanted to flesh that out a little bit. But I don't stop and try and work it all out and think about it too much right there on the spot, because I find that kind of interrupts the flow. So if I'm not quite sure what to say in that particular spot, I just capitalize it. Sometimes I even highlight it, and then I'll know to come back to it later. What else? I do make an outline. I have found that making an outline does help. So if I kind of plan what I want to write, and because I'm a Scrivener user, Scrivener is a program for writers that I really love, I usually have it all planned out with different sections ahead of time. And so that part, that does kind of count toward my word count, although I don't really feel like it's cheating, because inevitably those outlines are just, in point form or whatever. So, after I write about that certain part, I just erase it or get rid of it, delete it. But I do find having a plan really helps me. Of course, I rarely stick to the plan. So, I like to plot things out, but then I allow the characters and my own inspiration and new thoughts to, deviate. So, I don't get to, but I just find that it does help with being able to get some words onto the screen, onto the page, if you kind of know where you're going. If you totally just rely on the inspiration of the moment, I think I'd probably be staring at the screen a little bit more and wasting a lot of time that way. So that's kind of the process. It's not pretty. It's not really very technical. It's certainly, not something very grand or whatever, but I find that it works for me, having an outline, allowing myself to just freely write without a lot of editing, allowing myself to tell without showing all the time, because I know I can go back and change that. And then if I have a thought, but I don't quite know where to go with it, I just capitalize it so that I can go back to it later. And so far, it's worked out well for me. There you have it. There are all my NaNoWrimo confessions, and now I'm going to go back to writing. So I will see you again on another Book Talk with Tracy. If you would like to check out my published work, please go to my website. It is tracykrause.com. And that's all. Tracy does not have an E, Tracy, and Krause has 2 S's, Krauss. All right. I think my mind is running faster than my mouth today, so I better end it there. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.